My name is Sassoon Scheepers. I'm currently working for a company called Zazu Africa. They are a fintech company based in Zambia, and they are planning to also distribute the product across Africa. I'm currently working as a product owner, and I'm responsible for overseeing the product vision and the development of the product from beginning to end, and the different development stages of the product within the team. So Zazu, like I've mentioned, is a fintech company. They have created a digital wallet, and we facilitate payments between business to business and peers to businesses, and we also offer value-added services within the app, and we also have other digital products like virtual cards, physical cards that's related to the wallet, and so forth. We hired QAwerk, I think, in the beginning of 2019. We already had an established product by the time they got on board. And the reason why we hired them is because we had some capacity constraints within our internal team and we needed some help with that. So QAwerk assisted us with end-to-end regression testing on our existing product. Like I've mentioned, we are a fintech company, so since we are dealing with customers' finances and money, it's really bad for us if there's any bugs in production, and every time you do a deploy, obviously it could have an impact on other products that you already have in the product stack. So QAwerk got on board to help us do end-to-end regression testing and make sure that the product is working as it should. They also helped us to migrate our test cases that was very clunky on Excel spreadsheets to a digital platform called HipTest, maybe your editor should just called HipTest. And yeah, so they assisted us with the end-to-end regression testing, and every time we did a deploy of additional features, they would help us make sure that nothing broke. And also they then continue to assist us with UAT testing, so user acceptance testing for new products that we add to our product stack. So yeah, they've continued to be on board. They've also assisted us with creating some test cases in circumstances where we had a little bit more capacity available internally for testing. They created test cases for us, and then we just distributed to the team. They are really good at creating test cases. It's very thorough. I've gone through them myself to make sure that it's not lacking anything. It's got heavy day testing, negative testing, edge case testing, and I think also there's a general understanding of how the product should work logically, and they also really look at like weird edge case scenarios, which is not always easy to think out. You need a good test team to be able to identify that. So yes, that's what they help us with. So I've already mentioned part of why we have decided to work with QAwerk. Firstly, it's like I mentioned, they're really good at identifying edge cases, and they are very thorough in the work that they do. And they've got a very good understanding of logically how the product should work. So especially I think in fintech companies, it's not just the case of, for example, a game where you need to do very straightforward things. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and you really need an in-depth understanding of the product before you can start testing it. So in my experience, QAwerk is really good in thoroughness, like I've mentioned. They are quick to understand briefs, so there's minimal meetings where I have to continuously repeat myself in trying to get the message across on how the product works and where the complexities lies. Our product manager was Marina Dlovina, maybe I'm gonna have to say that again, but she is really well facilitating that communication. They are very well in communicating bugs that they find or identify. So it's not a clunky process from the beginning when they identify a bug to end where it's being fixed and tested again. They log into our Jira platform, they log a bug, they know exactly where to assign it, and there's like a group that we have on Slack. So it's really easy for us to keep track, especially from a product owner perspective, on the amount of bugs that's been identified, the effort that's required to fix those bugs, and then obviously retesting that bugs when it's fixed. Yeah, and then I would definitely say lastly is because QAwerks are familiar with digital platforms. So like I've mentioned, HipTest, they've helped us to migrate our test cases to HipTest. I think there's still a few test providers that will rather do test cases on sheets and stuff. It doesn't really work very well, especially in the long term. It might take a little bit longer in the beginning to get it on the platform, but once it's there, it's really easy to manage and it's got longevity. It's also easy to update. And then, yeah, they are familiar with Jira and Slack. So all the platforms that we work off, it's really easy. There's no learning curve for them to just pick up and go with it. Our product manager was Marina Danilova. She, in my experience, was really, really great to work with. She's quick to respond to emails. She is very quick also to provide estimates on work required. She understands briefs very quickly. And she is really good in making sure that the communication between the different teams continues to be cohesive. So if there's any issues that they raise and that we might not realize right away, especially if it's showstoppers, she would ping us, and the other way around. If we have questions and they are not quick to respond, as in literally 30 minutes, she would respond and she will make sure that there's feedback. So the project management for me is really great. I think mostly because the estimates are accurate, and I don't think we've ever received an estimate where the end result of the actual work required was more than the estimate. I think the team coped really well with the assignments that we gave them. Like I've mentioned, they got on board when we already had an existing product, so it wasn't like they got on board from the beginning and they knew exactly what to test and how it works. We also didn't have a very well documented product specifications because we were a startup, and the team that started to develop the product didn't necessarily have BAs to write proper specifications. So I'm sure in the beginning there was a lot of verbal handovers. They did very well in understanding the product from the get-go. And I think working with them after the initial regression testing that they did on our product, they really are very susceptible to potential changes that you need or adjustments that they need to make to try and accommodate your situation. So for example, when we had this whole COVID thing going on, like I mentioned, we had more capacity within the team to potentially do testing, and we needed them to go through our existing test cases and make sure that the test cases are still up to date. We also did a whole new UX do over or revamp or facelift on our app. So the user interface, if you are familiar with writing test cases, the test cases are very reliant on how the user interface works. So we asked them to please rewrite the test cases for us or review the test cases for us so that it matched the new user interface. And they literally got that done in less than a week. And there was really a lot of test cases to get through, like over to 100. So I think they are very good at the assignments that they get, and they cope with it excellently. I love them. I would recommend them any other day. The team is really supportive. They are nice people, so it's always nice to work with people. That's nice. And they are really effective at what they do. So if you work in a fast-paced, high-pressure environment, it's really important that you work with teams that knows what is going on and teams that can communicate really well. So my experience is love them, and I would recommend them to anyone that needs a test team.